Well, good morning and welcome to our second episode of Good Enough for Government Work podcast. Brian?
Yeah, we're live down here in the bunker, so thank you for joining us. Today we wanted, to bring up a special topic. Veterans Day is just around the corner, and so each year it seems like, us being veterans, we get a lot of questions from, our civilian counterparts around the topic of thank you for your service, and they're, always wanting to know how they could do it in a meaningful way, right?
Yeah, we're always, we got Veterans Days coming up, Veterans Day, and it's always special to our hearts, just from all the people that we've served with in the past, and some made it back and some didn't. But this episode 2, is going to be how do you thank your service member? And so we came up with a couple of items from people giving us some ideas, and we're going to talk a little bit. And hopefully, this helps a lot of folks that are out there that have always wondered, hey, how can we help a service member? And so, with that being said, we're going to go through a couple topics. I think the first one I'm going to let Brian and I are going to chat a little bit, but I'm going to let Brian take the lead on this one. And so, what's the first one? What's the first topic?
So the first thing that we kind of wanted to talk about was something that a lot of people ask is like, hey, I want to make donations. What's a good nonprofit? And so we get that question. I get that question all the time. Is like, what's a really good nonprofit where more of my money goes back to the veteran than it does to just the organization. And I think people ask me, one, because I'm a veteran. I work within the Department of Veteran Affairs, but I'm also really involved in a few different nonprofit organizations.
Yeah, Brian, we've worked together on some nonprofits where he's spearheaded some pretty awesome projects. But one of his new ones now is Sheepdog. We talked about it in episode 1. And that's something, that's a chapter. He and I were trying to think about bringing a chapter here to his local area. We could definitely use all the support, but we have more details. That's later on. But Sheepdog, how would Sheepdog help with veterans, like donation-wise? How can they help the veterans in the local area, in the Twin Cities area?
Yeah, so the great thing, so it's Sheepdog Impact Assistance, that's their full title. So if you were looking them up, that's what you'll have to look up. Okay. But the way that they help is, and what I really like about Sheepdog is they don't just focus on just veterans. It's veterans, police officers, and first responders, right? Because a lot of veterans, when we get out of military service, we go into other jobs such as, law enforcement, first responders, right? And so that's the reason why they named it Sheepdog. Is like you have these certain careers where you're the sheepdog of your community. You're the watchdog. You're the one that when everybody else is running away, you're running into it. And so
right. We always need those kind of people. It takes a special person and a special character to be able to put yourself in harm's way like that. So I definitely thank everybody. Thank you for everybody that's got that mentality out there. It's a warrior spirit, and I really enjoy meeting people like that. I learn a lot from them. So
yeah. And you had asked me, how can Sheepdog help people here in the local Twin Cities area?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, what would be nice is like for us to get a chapter started out here would be great, because Sheepdog it's a national organization.
Okay.
So they actually have, like, the last event that we did, which prior to COVID, was Yellowstone. So we went to Yellowstone in the winter time and did a snowmobiling tour through the park, through the forest. It was awesome. We had probably 60 plus military, police officers, first responders there from all over the country. And so it would be nice if we had our own chapter here where we could raise some funds, because then we can sponsor more sheepdogs, so we can sponsor more people from our local area to go on these trips, right? So there's chapters in all these other areas, and when you have a chapter in your area and you're able to raise some funds, you're able to kind of
get back to community.
Yeah, you can submit people from your local area to go on to these trips. I've been able to, just because I've built a really good relationship with Sheepdog, I've been able to get a few people from our area, just because they really like, they really like what we're all about. They really want us to start a chapter out here. So they're able to get a few people on. But I think if we had a chapter, we might be able to get a few more people on there.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think definitely we need to. That'll probably be our next little project that we do. So any kind of support out there, help us with that. More important, it's going to help. It's basically helping the service members, prior or current. If you're a veteran, you're a veteran, right? So you know what? I give my heart to all the veterans. I thank them for everything they do. I think that's a great thing. We're giving back to the community. But what are some of the other? What about some of the other nonprofit ones, the monetary ones that you talked about?
Okay, yeah. So donations. There's many different ways of donating things, right? And so one way is like a monetary donation. So where you're writing a check, you're going on, you're entering your credit card information. You're either giving a one-time, donation, or you set it up where you're doing a monthly or a year, an annual donation. And some of the organizations, so you definitely could do that with Sheepdog, right? So you can do that with Sheepdog Impact Assistance. Wounded Warrior Project was one that had a really bad rep for a minute because of things that were going on, but they're back on track. So
that's what I'm hearing. That's what I'm hearing. They got new leadership. Hey, that's great. I've always been a huge Wounded Warrior Project fan.
Yeah, and then one thing that I really, especially when I got involved in these nonprofit organizations within my local community, is I realized how important it is for the VFW to be a part of the community. I mean, they really give back to the community, and so donating to your local VFW can really ensure that money's going right back into the community.
That's a great idea. We don't have we got a Legion, VFW. I mean, there's some other organizations out there that just got to do some research to make sure that they're giving back into the community and helping out the veterans that are needing help. So
some other type of donations though. So not just monetary, right? So people, you may not have a whole lot of extra money, right? But what about your time? So
time's money.
Yeah,
time is money.
So I always say, and I say this a lot, is the greatest gift you can give to anybody is your time, because it's the one thing you'll never get back. Right?
Absolutely,
and
absolutely.
So as a professional, you can donate your time. Let's say you're a lawyer, right? And you do pro bono work. Well, maybe as part of your plan for the next year, some of your pro bono work goes strictly to veterans, right? To help with different things.
So donating your time is what you're talking about, right?
Yeah.
As some free time. So basically, you're using your experience to help someone that's really maybe not as versed in that area, so that they can actually get back on their feet.
Correct. Yeah.
I like that. Yeah, that's good. That's a good positive. Our mission statement here, we're always about helping people, making sure that we have harmony in the world, and that we're all coming together, especially as a community, and doing good things. But focusing on the veterans, I think right now with Veterans Day coming up, I think it's a great idea.
Yeah.
So you talked about the VA right earlier.
Correct.
So I think donating your time to the VA is huge. So for us, we both spend time down there in the local VA here in Minneapolis, right? And they've got one up in St. Cloud. Both organizations are very reputable. They do a great work, but they can't really do a lot of the stuff unless they have the people that come in and volunteer and work there. Well, tell me a little bit, maybe some areas that how they can volunteer at the VA.
Yeah, so one huge need that I know personally, because I work in a vet center, right?
Yep.
Is we always need volunteers to work in the vet centers, and in order to work in, so the vet centers, we're part of the VA. So you go through the VA's volunteer program, right? So you go and you become a volunteer through the VA, and you just specifically say that you want to volunteer at the vet center, or and so you would come to the vet center, and what's really helpful is just we need people to answer phones. I mean, as simple as that is, right? It really takes a load off of us because we're small. I mean, we have 7 employees for the whole center.
Wow.
Yeah, and we have we have a lot of veterans that come through, and so having somebody to just be there to answer the phones and greet somebody as they walk in. I mean, that's the biggest part, is just
intro.
Greeting somebody, right? And letting them know, hey, you're welcomed here. Come on in. This is your home.
That's important, as everybody, when you walk into an organization, we've all run into this, right? You walk into an organization, you want to feel welcome because you're giving your time, you're coming to, to receive support or whatever the case may be. You want to be welcome, you want to be happy. And when you see somebody smile and welcome you, that's actually a huge part of starting the transitional piece, right?
Yeah.
So answering phones. So the volunteering actually doesn't sound like it's too hard. Maybe like, what do you suggest? Like at these VAs, how much time should they donate a week or maybe a month, or I don't know.
Honestly, it all depends on the individual, right?
Okay.
I mean, if you only have a few hours a month and that's all you can do, that's better than nothing, And
Right.
there's so many different areas within the VA system, which includes the vet centers, but the VA system, I mean, they need people to volunteer just to greet people at the door. They have people that volunteer to. Right now with COVID, it's a little bit different, but they usually have somebody that pushes a coffee cart around, and just ask veterans like, "Hey, do you want a cup of coffee?" And they pour them a cup of coffee and hand it to them while they're waiting for their next appointment.
That goes a long way.
Huge.
Just being kind to people, it goes along. It's contagious, right?
Yeah.
It's contagious. So, cool. That's good.
Yeah.
So we talked a little bit about the VA, yeah. Then we talked a little bit about Sheepdog, Wounded Warrior Project. What we didn't talk about a little bit is as we travel around the country, you and I, to different areas, we see one of the things I saw when I was recently up in Montana was these places that are donating time to build homes for veterans.
Yeah.
So what was the name of that one that we were talking about?
Yeah, it's called Building Homes for Heroes.
Yeah.
And I actually know somebody personally who's a really good close friend of mine who recently received a house from this organization. And I mean, it's a beautiful, brand new house. And it's mortgage free, completely mortgage free for this veteran. And this veteran, that's a really good friend of mine. He lost both of his legs over in Iraq.
Yeah.
And so not only did they build him this home, but they made it so that his quality of life and his functioning at home is, just like anybody else. So they were able to adapt it for his needs, and it was amazing. I mean, it's amazing.
Yeah. So you know what? Shout out to
Building Homes for Heroes.
Building Homes for Heroes. But what can the people, like the regular people, like us regular people, we serve, but now that we're both retired, I want to keep helping in one way, or even the people, what can they do for homes? Can they volunteer their time? Can they donate money? I mean, what can they do for these homes? Giving homes, or even clothes, or anything of that nature.
Yeah, so I think getting creative, right? So if you're a contractor of some sort, donating some of your time and your expertise, your skill to like a Habitat for Humanity in your area. Habitat for Humanity is, they always try to do a veteran project. Like we have one out here in River Falls where they built some veteran homes. So they built a home specifically that went to a veteran in our area, and I helped out with that project. This was, quite a few years ago. Let's say you're a real estate agent, right? So
Yeah.
you're a real estate agent, and you're like thinking like, oh, well, how can I really do it? Well, there's actually an organization called Homes for Heroes. So not the Building Homes for Heroes, but it's called Homes for Heroes, and it's specifically for real estate agents that basically what you do is you join their program. They help get you some leads from, veterans, police officers, first responders, teachers. So it's not just for veterans, but it's for a number of different heroes. And essentially what you're saying is like you're going to help them with the sale or the purchase of their house. And then upon, the sale or the purchase, you're going to give back a small portion of the profits that you're making,
Percentage
on it,
of
of your commission,
Yeah.
just to say thank you. And that's huge. When I built my house, back in 2014, I worked with a realtor and a mortgage broker actually, who were both part of Homes for Heroes. And when I closed on my house, they gave me like a $5,000 check back.
Wow.
Which is
so
huge,
so it's
right?
like a donation to say, hey, thank you for your service.
Correct.
And here, hopefully this goes to a good cause and help you out. You know what? I didn't even know about that until you and I started talking about that earlier. There's a lot of good stuff out there that people are not aware of. And so that's why we do this, so that we can let people know that, hey, you know what? Veterans Day is coming up. I know a lot of people, Brian, you and I chat about this, and this has happened to us too. People come up, and there's nothing wrong with this, right? You come up and you say, hey, thank you for your service. You're in uniform, or they see like a veteran plate, or whatever the case may be, or a sticker. There's nothing wrong with saying thank you. But I think right now we're just trying to take it to that next step, right? Yeah. And so some of the stuff we're talking about now is just, taking it to that next level.
Yeah, and so like a lot of people, right now we're entering winter, right? So people are kind of going through clothes, and they're switching out their summer clothes to their winter clothes.
Yeah.
And as they're doing that, they're getting rid of some, right?
Yeah.
Or in the spring, we do the same thing where we're putting our winter clothes away, getting our summer stuff out. And then people are donating, clothes to, like Goodwill or some of these, some of these other places.
Yep.
Maybe look for some veteran organizations that take closed donations, and
or even reach out to us.
Correct.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, we'll definitely find out who needs help but so giving clothes, that's a great idea. You know,
and that's something that you were going to give away to like Goodwill or somewhere anyways.
Yeah.
And so that's an awesome way of saying thank you. Instead of just using words, which sometimes
you feel obligated.
Yeah, you feel obligated instead of like and a lot
instead
of people
talking from the heart.
Correct. A lot of people that come to me and ask me, the reason they're asking is because they want to do more than just like. Anybody can just say thank you for your service, right? But they want to do something more that's meaningful, powerful, and actually makes like a larger impact. That's how they explain it to me when they ask me.
Yeah, doing it. I mean, verbally is great. I don't take anything but doing. I mean, actions speak a lot. I mean, it speaks volumes, right? So, great, awesome. I think one of the other topics that we want to talk about with helping veterans is, buying from a veteran-owned business. So. You don't realize, I think I read something, and don't quote me on this, but there's a small percentage, I think it's 9% out of like 27 million businesses that are in the United States, right? And I'm just throwing it out there, I'm guesstimating. So, if one of those 9% of those veteran-owned businesses, they definitely can use the help. And so, if it ranges from, some of these veteran-owned businesses, like there's beer businesses, right? Which is great. There's construction businesses. There's educational businesses. There's so many different businesses that are veteran owned, but you don't even know about it because maybe they don't want to bring it up. They're shy about talking about it. Have you met people that are sort of like, I don't want to starting out my business. I don't want people to feel sympathy for me or whatever. Have you run into that?
Yeah, I have actually. It's interesting. Being a veteran, I have no problem talking about things when I go into a place. And so I this was probably a year ago. I went into the Batteries Plus out in Hudson, and I was buying something. I needed I don't know, some weird type of battery. I'm like, I don't even know where to find this thing. So I Googled, Batteries Plus, cool, I'm going there. Went there, realized that it was actually a veteran-owned business. And so even some of the chains or, some of these more well-known places, if they're a franchise, I'm looking to potentially open a franchise myself. Right?
Yeah, you talked about it.
And so you never know if there's a franchise location in your area that might be a veteran-owned franchise, right? Veteran-owned business. And so I learned that, with the Batteries Plus, and now I try to go there, whenever I need something, I go there.
Absolutely. I think that's pretty cool. I think that's awesome. So, asking the questions, it's always interesting. I always like talking to different kinds of folks, no matter who it is. But when you find out they're a veteran, then your heart starts to open up because the sacrifices that a lot of these veterans have made is unbelievable, and you don't realize it. So that's the thing. You read the papers and you see the news, right? And that doesn't always personify or even show the right picture. But you start talking to some of these veterans and their families, right? Their wives and their kids, and you find out really like really what's going on, and it really opens up your heart and your soul. To me, it's just like, and you want to give that support. Because the sacrifice is unbelievable. So, if anything, once a year on Veterans Day or even around Veterans Day, we should definitely be thinking about the veterans and letting them know, hey, we love you and thank you for all your sacrifices. But, some of the other bullet point that we have here is, I've received some of these, and I think it's really cool. Coming out of a business, leaving a note on a vehicle when because you see Purple Heart license plate or Iraqi veteran or Vietnam veteran or even World War II. You don't see a lot of those. But anyhow, veteran plates, you see a note. I mean, what do you think about those? Notes?
Yeah, I've had some experiences where, I got out of my car, went in, did my shopping, whatever, came back, and there was a note on my windshield, and I'm like looking. Oh, my park job isn't too bad, so I don't know what this note. Picked it up, and it was somebody that really wrote a thoughtful, like heartwarming note of like just thanking me. And so, for me, it was very impactful to just know that somebody took the time, to just stop what they were doing, find a piece of paper, find a pen, and write a heartfelt, and then put it on the windshield, and never even want credit for it. So that I have no idea who did it. Yeah. So that was huge. And probably the most impactful thank you for your service that I've ever received was I had parked, and I have a Purple Heart plate, and so
Yep.
there was this gentleman that was kind of walking into the store and saw me kind of pull in and stopped and came walking over towards me as I was getting out, and I'm like, didn't know what was going on, so I'm like, okay, and he comes up and he says, hey, I just want to say, that I saw your plates, and I really appreciate everything you've done. He's like, myself, I never joined the military, but you being over there allowed for me to, finish college, and now, and make it to my son's, baseball games, and like really shared with me like what my sacrifice allowed for him to do.
So he showed you a side. He let his wall down,
Correct.
basically.
And
So
that was, I mean, it kind of gives me the chills.
yeah,
Now
man,
thinking about it. It was such
it gives me
cool,
goosebumps. When
Yeah.
somebody lets their walls down and pours their emotion out from what's really deep inside their heart and their soul, I mean, that says a lot right there. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good. So, leaving notes is great. Actually going up and talking to a veteran's great. Letting them know, hey, thank you very much. But I think one of the last topics, unless you have any other ones, is I think and this one sort of it gets into a lot of moving pieces, is employers, right? So, employers that that are hiring veterans or have veterans in their organization, right? Yeah. So this is a great topic, and I think this is where we'll end with. But I want to talk a little bit about this. So, if you are somebody out there that has an organization, you have a veteran that works for you, or you're looking to hire a veteran, definitely reach out to us. But we're going to talk a little bit about that. So, and I pulled some research up too. Because I wanted to get some facts here, and this one is from military.com, and I pulled it not too long ago, and so we're going to talk a little bit about some of the companies that do a lot of our local companies here in the Twin Cities, and also some of the stuff they should start to think about. So hopefully that maybe this will spark a great idea for organizations to maybe start hiring more vets. But I mean, when you think about that, what do you think? What's your input on that?
I mean, so like the first thing that comes to mind for me is there have been many times. I mean, so Veterans Day is just right around the corner. I know we keep mentioning that, but that's because we're veterans ourselves, so we're always being approached. Or I feel like I'm approached to give speeches or to give talks to different places. I love doing that because it shows that people care, and I can share my experience with people and hopefully touch somebody that maybe had didn't really have an idea about what it meant or what it means. Yeah. And so I know I've been contacted a few times and have done some presentations for the Minnesota Department of Revenue. Actually brought me in, and what they said was we want you to do your own thing, but we do want one small piece on there about what we can do as an organization for our veterans that work for us, which I thought was really cool. So I was able to come up with some talking points on like what their organization can do for their veterans. So if you're a manager and you know that you have a veteran on your staff, so maybe getting to know them a little bit more and kind of finding out, hey, are there certain triggers that come up that might keep you from performing at your best, or maybe
strength and weakness.
You need an extra 5-minute break to just go and decompress or whatever.
Yeah.
Like knowing that about your staff is really going to be impactful. And it's going to make for a really good environment.
Absolutely. So you're talking. I think spending a little bit more time with your veterans is veterans are absolutely they've seen a lot of different things, and so leadership goes a long way. They focus on leadership, and finding out their strengths and weaknesses is actually important, because maybe a veteran, some of these younger adults. They maybe did 4 years in the Marine Corps, Army, or whatever, but they've been at their responsibility level. They were in charge of millions of dollars, and you wouldn't even know it, right, until you talk to them. And so maybe they're in one part of the organization, and maybe you should move them over. But you know what you tapped on is you talked a little bit about enlisting support, and think and so for me, I start to think of, okay, if I'm going to if I have an organization and I own a large portion of the shareholders, and I want to say, hey, I want to go into a strategy of hiring more military because I like their work ethic and I like their discipline and their commitment, right, and their loyalty, which are characteristics and attributes all military folks have. So one of the things we talk about, is recruiting and onboardings, right? So with HR, right. So what are some ideas for recruiting and onboarding? So you can reach out to your local VSO or whatever. What are some of your other thoughts?
Yeah, so you know, and it all depends. Every community has like something different. So like for us, we have the Eagles Veterans Group, which is, you know, a group of just veterans who own businesses, kind of banded together, created a Facebook group, and you know they're always talking about you know how can we help veterans, you know, who own businesses continue to prosper, but also veterans who are wanting to kind of get into the business world. So that's a good way of doing it.
Yeah, so
Another good way is like, so even us at the Vet Center, we have an outreach specialist, and his position, you know, not only is he trying to do outreach in different areas to spread the word about who we are and what we do, but he also knows a lot about employment. And so, so he works with like, so in Minnesota, there's deeds, right? And again, that's Minnesota specific deeds is. So the fact that we reside here in Wisconsin means that we don't get to use deed, right? And so,
Right, but we, you know, we're on the border. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
And you know, you and I both work over in the Twin Cities, so.
But if you're a veteran, and you're wanting to get into an organization, you also have to take the initiative yourself to get to know that organization, right?
Yeah.
And not only that, but you have to not be afraid to speak up and let them know what your experiences are. They're not going to just guess or assume. You got to let them know. And so I think a lot of veterans are.
Communication piece.
Yeah, I think a lot of veterans are a little bit shy with wanting to share, you know, their experiences, because a lot of, at least in my, you know, with my job that I do, and I'm talking with my veterans, is they feel like, well, what I did is just, you know, that's just what I was supposed to do. You know,
That's your job.
I did it, you know, and I did it well. And it's like, yeah, but you have so many skills that can transfer over into the civilian world. And those are skills that people coming out of college, you know, straight out of college, they don't have that. You know, you have real world experience.
Absolutely.
And so that it goes a long, long way, but you have to know how to talk about it. And so using like the VA's vocational rehab can help with that. There's other organizations that I can't think of them off the top of my head, so I'm trying to think of them.
Yeah, that's okay.
That help you take your skills that you have from the military and translate them into, you know, onto a resume in a way that a civilian, you know, who's reading can understand what your skill sets are and how it translates to, you know, the business world.
Yeah, I think with employers, you know, a lot of these employers that run organizations are pretty savvy. So, you know, if you know, I think probably one great way to actually is find out if you're interested in somebody is invite them out to coffee, right? I think you can find out within 5 minutes if the person is actually a good fit for your organization or not. So I think the resume is a great piece. You know, there's support out there, but I think with the actually thanking a service member and you're looking to do some hiring, invite somebody out for some coffee or invite out for lunch and chat with them face to face, because then you can get into that communication piece. And actually, because a lot of veterans are very humble, right? They don't want to talk about it, seem like they're bragging, but when you find out their experience level, it's definitely something you want to bring on board into your organization. So hiring a veteran is huge.
Yes.
If you need help with that, Brian and I, we definitely have a little bit or a lot of experience in that. We can definitely help with that. Anything with helping a veteran out, you're not sure how to approach it, definitely reach out to Brian and I. We have our Facebook page, Good Enough for Government Work. We both check it regularly, and we're definitely gonna you know, our videos, we post them. This is episode 2.
From the bunker.
From the bunker. So this is our bunker. We're gonna actually start expanding out and doing some broadcasting from some public areas.
Yeah.
Some people asked us to come to their organization and help promote Good Enough for Government Work, which I'm sort of excited about, because we weren't sure.
Really excited.
Yeah, because we weren't sure where this was gonna go, right?
Yeah.
Our heart's in the right place, our soul's in the right place, and our mind's in the right place, right? We have a lot of experience, but we want to do good, right?
Yeah.
We want to do good for the Twin Cities, and basically anywhere in the United States, right? If this reaches out to the East Coast, West Coast, down south, and just help out. And in our mission statement, if you haven't read our mission statement on our website, please do. And so, hey, just a name real quick before we end this.
Yeah.
I want to name a couple of companies that actually are veteran friendly, and I just want to give them a shout out and say thank you for the support. and taking a chance on hiring these veterans. I really do.
And then if you're a veteran, you know, and you're looking for some work, reach out to these companies.
Yeah, yeah,
So-
good point. That's an excellent point, Brian. So, all right. So I got the top 10 friendliest companies right now. Verizon. We'll start from 1 to 10. So Verizon, USAA, AECOM, AECOM, the Hilton organization, Boeing, AT&T, Combined Insurance and Chubb Company, excuse me, Dominion Energy, Navient Solutions, and United Health Group. Those are the top 10. And then there's a couple other ones. There's a long list. It means, but I'm only going to name a couple that are huge throughout the United States. So, you know, you got 7-Eleven. We named AT&T already.
7-Eleven is one of the most friendly, veteran-friendly franchises in the nation. They give a huge disc. So if you're a veteran, you're wanting to own your own business and you're wanting to open a franchise,
Yeah.
looking at 7-Eleven is one where they give a huge discount to veterans, and they
No
really
kidding.
have a lot of support. Yeah.
So franchise is huge. Yeah, I know a lot of
Yeah.
veterans that gone franchises. J.C. Penney, J.P. Morgan and Chase, Citi, Cintas, CVS Health, Lockheed Martin.
I think another one that's really cool.
Yep.
So like for me, when I was out of the Marine Corps and I decided I'm going to go back to school.
Yeah.
You know, I wanted a part-time job just to keep myself busy. I didn't really need a part-time job, but I wanted one, and I reached out to Home Depot and they hired me on the spot. They love veterans,
Yeah.
and they're really flexible. So if you're a veteran, if you're a veteran, you just want to work for Home Depot, go for it. But if you're thinking of going to school and you're wanting just another part-time job to supplement some income.
Yeah.
Home Depot was very accommodating for my schedule and everything, and they paid really well for like they take your veteran experience into account whenever they're thinking of the wage that
Salary,
they're going to
yeah.
get.
That's awesome.
It was a really good experience.
No, that's good. That's good. So, yeah, I'll tell you, I don't have anything else, but this is what we need to do. So Brian and I came up. We have new T-shirts, man.
yeah.
We have new T-shirts. We're giving them away for free. Whoever wants one, you got to hit us up on our Facebook, Good Enough LinkedIn, or not LinkedIn, but Facebook page,
Yeah, the Facebook.
and we'll send you one. Give us your address. But we have black ones, we have green ones.
Yeah.
And this is a great start, right? And we're just going to keep adding to it, and see where it goes. I hope you know what? I hope we just keep going and going and doing positive stuff.
Well, we love the support, and not just the support, but we love the feedback. Any feedback, whether it's like some good, hey, we love this or whatever, or even like, hey, here are some areas of improvement, or hey, have you thought about this?
Or
Like,
topics. Give us a topic.
Correct.
We'll talk about whatever. We will reach out to any of our audience. So
Yeah, we're not just focused on just veterans. Like we want to be there for our civilian counterparts too, right? So we want everybody to be able to get something from what we're talking about. We just want our military experiences to come out in what we're sharing.
Yeah.
And so
and we're gonna have some guest speakers here coming up. I'm
Yeah.
excited. We haven't narrowed that down, but we have some people that want to talk about some interesting topics.
yeah, we're just getting going.
Yeah.
Again, we just like episode 1 said, we're hitting the ground running. We weren't really planning on this pandemic happening. Nobody was, so there's been some hangups with that.
Yeah.
And so we're just getting it going, and we're just going to keep going with it. We're going to keep improving. We're going to keep expanding, and we're going to keep, hopefully keep the support coming. So,
Yeah, moving in a positive direction. That's what it's about, man. We just want to touch everybody's heart and soul, do the right thing in society, in the community. And we're going to think about a next topic. We're not sure yet. And we're going to probably do another episode in a couple weeks.
Yeah.
It's either going to be here in the bunker or we're going to be out somewhere.
Yeah, hopefully out somewhere.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, Brian really wants to go out somewhere. So I think we're going to do that. So
I'm an extrovert, man. I like to be around people.
I know you do. I know you do. You love it.
And right now with the pandemic, it's tough, and so I'm having to use my own coping skills, and that's what we talked about in episode 1. So if you haven't seen episode 1 yet, maybe go back and check that one out.
Yeah. We're gonna post this on this. So I think right now, we're gonna do a cheers, and we're gonna go ahead and end it. Hey, support your local establishments,
Yes.
and we always say cheers to Rush River.
Yeah, Rush River.
Rush River. This is the Rush River.